What's going on YouTube? In today's video, I'm going to be installing something that I've actually been really excited to install on the car. I'm going to be installing a strut brace on the BMW 435. I've had this mod honestly for a little while now, just haven't gotten the chance to install it. So I'm going to be doing that today, so I'm super excited about it. Honestly, I think this is probably the easiest, cheapest, and fastest way you can improve the handling on your car. I'm no expert, I'm no mechanic, and I'm definitely no race car driver, but let me just get into it, guys. Alright, so before I really get into it, just want to say really quickly, if you're not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It'll take you guys like 2 seconds. It really helps me out. Also, drop me a like and hit the notification bell while you're at it. It's gonna let you know whenever I upload new videos. But yeah, anyways, let's just get into it. So like I was saying before, I'm gonna be installing a strut brace on my BMW 435. Again, I've had this mod for a little while now. I've been shopping around for one. I finally found one that I like. I ordered it. It came in probably like 2 weeks ago. Just really haven't gotten the chance to install it. I have the strut brace inside, so I'm gonna run inside really quickly to show you guys that. Unfortunately, I don't have a driveway or garage right now, so I can't really show you guys inside the car, and I kind of don't want to just like lay it on the ground. I'm gonna run inside, show you guys that real quick, then I'll jump into the installation of the strut brace or strut bar. I don't know. But yeah, I'll show you guys the installation, and then even afterwards, I'll give you guys sort of like my impressions on how much it really improved the handling and the driving dynamics of the car. I'll also show you what it looks like, of course, because I'll be honest, not just it, you know, improving the handling of the car, I actually think they look really cool. Anyways, guys, make sure you watch the video to the very end so you make sure you see all that. But yeah, without further ado, let me show you guys the strut brace. All right, guys, so here it is. So like I was saying before, I don't have a driveway or garage to do this right now, so I kind of didn't want to leave this on the ground floor or whatever, so I figured I'd leave it on my coffee table instead. So a bit of a different atmosphere, but again, just wanted to show you guys the strut bar itself and then show you a couple aspects about it, some comparisons to different strut bars and braces or whatever, and yeah, then we'll jump into the installation afterwards. But I just wanted to show you guys really quick. So if you guys aren't familiar with the strut bar, the way it basically works is it'll actually sit between the two strut towers, and I'll jump into the engine bay and show you guys that as well once I go back downstairs. But what it basically does is it will connect to the strut tower on the left, on the strut tower on the right, and it'll kind of create some extra like rigidity, or you know, some extra reinforcement between the two strut towers, so that way the chassis won't flex as much when the car is turning, because obviously it will flex and whatnot. A lot of cars already have strut bars already installed, so obviously this is a 435 that I have, but if you guys actually have an M4 or have ever seen an M4, the M4 actually already has a strut brace installed in the engine bay. Again, it's supposed to improve rigidity of the chassis, stiffen everything up, basically make the car feel tighter and more stable while turning and stuff like that. So obviously, like the more racing focused cars will have a strut brace. Again, this is a 435, so although it is a sporty car, it's not an M4, so there isn't one currently in the car, but we're about to change that. So that's basically how a strut brace works and sort of like the purpose of it. Again, I'm no master technician or, you know, mechanic or anything like that. So now about this one specifically, so this is from a company called Autotecknic. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. So they're not the only ones who make a strut brace for the 435 or 335. I believe it's actually the same one that'll work for both cars, so the 435 and the 335, and I believe also the 428s and 430s and all that type of stuff. I don't think that varies. I will leave this link down in the description below, just like I usually do. But yeah, anyways, there are other brands who make strut braces for these cars. One of the more popular ones is Racing Dynamics. So you do have a couple options other than just brands. So you can get like a carbon fiber strut brace. I mean, those look really cool, but they are super expensive. But obviously you have like the really cool look in the engine bay and then the lightweight aspect of it. This one's actually aluminum, so in terms of weight, like it's not too bad. I mean, obviously that's not really going to give you an idea of the weight, but it's not too bad. And then lastly, you have steel, so you can get a steel strut brace. A couple things with the steel ones: one, they're probably the cheapest. Not probably, I think they're definitely the cheapest. Two, they're probably the most rigid. Don't quote me on that, but I believe steel is more rigid than like the aluminum one over here, and even more rigid than carbon fiber. But they are going to be the heaviest. So I mean, if you're really looking for like the most stability and rigidity, if that's a word, I think steel is going to be your best option. I personally went with the aluminum because I thought that was going to be like a good in between, you know, between like steel and carbon fiber. So that's personally what I went with. So anyways, going back to the different brands, again, you can get different brands that make these strut braces. Again, they'll probably do the same thing. So the reason why I went with this one specifically over like Racing Dynamics, which is a very popular one, is honestly, this is going to sound shallow, but it's the look of it. So this one, if you guys can tell, in my opinion, it looks really cool. Like it has has like these cutouts, which it's still all one piece, so I don't think this is gonna affect like, you know, the structure and the strength of it. So even though it has these cutouts, I think it's gonna be just as strong, but I actually think it looks really cool. It's also all black. The Racing Dynamics one, it's gonna be like black over here where it attaches to the strut tower, and then when it connects over here, it's actually all like this chrome aluminum type of thing, and then it has like their blue logo down the middle, which honestly, I mean, I'm sure it probably works really well. It's also a really popular choice, but I just wasn't crazy about the look. This one, on the other hand, in my opinion, just looks really good. It looks really clean, simple. The logo is there and it is pretty big, but it is in white, so it looks pretty simple. And then yeah, it's just pretty much like all black, which I actually really like, and it does still have some character. Like it has like this part over here, has like the cutouts, so it does, you know, give a little character. I think this is gonna look really cool in the engine bay. Obviously, once it's installed, guys, I will show you exactly what it looks like in the engine bay, that is. So yeah, guys, there are a good amount of choices and options for strut braces for these cars. So I just personally went with this one because 1, it was aluminum, 2, it's all black, and 3, I just simply just like, it looks pretty cool in my opinion. But anyways, it's not just about the looks for these strut braces. This should help the car handle a lot better. And yeah, so one last thing before I run back downstairs to install this, I actually want to talk about pricing. So the price of this one over here costed about like maybe $270, so do follow the link down below and see exactly what the pricing is, but it is definitely around like $270. Carbon fiber one can go upwards of like $400 or $500. Obviously carbon fiber is just a lot more expensive, and then the steel ones I've seen go as little as like $170. So in terms of pricing, the strut bar or strut brace honestly is not too bad, at least obviously in like the world of BMW car parts. But anyways, let me run downstairs. I'll show you guys the installation of this. This is not going to be a detailed tutorial, but you know, I will kind of give you guys like a little walkthrough of how to install it, give you guys an idea if this is like something you want to do to your car. And yeah, I'll show you guys more specifically what I mean by like this thing is super easy to install. So again, I'm still standing by what I said before, probably the easiest, fastest, and cheapest way to improve the handling on your car. So with that said, let me run downstairs, guys. We'll start the installation of this, and yeah, so stick around. All right, so we're back to the car. Here's the engine bay over here, guys. If you know these cars, you already know this engine bay pretty well. But so the strut bar is basically gonna go from this strut tower over here, and it's gonna connect to the other strut tower over here. If you guys didn't know, that's actually where the top of the struts actually sit, hence why they're called strut towers, and hence why it's called a strut bar or strut brace. So how it's basically gonna sit is something like that right there. It's kind of hard to show you right now because obviously I need to hold it in place, but that should basically give you like a general idea. So to install this, what we're actually gonna have to do is remove these current bolts on the car or the strut tower over here. There's also one behind that rubber. Same thing on the other side over there. And then I believe it's I think it's a 13 millimeter. I'll double check that. But then yeah, once we remove those, we're actually gonna put the strut brace on top and then reinstall those same bolts, make sure everything's torqued down, and then that's honestly really it to install the strut brace. For now, let me just put this back on the side so I don't mess it up. All right, with that out of the way, I actually just put it in the trunk so it doesn't get all scratched up. But yeah, it's that simple to install it, guys. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and start installing it. Let me first start off by removing all these bolts. Again, there should be another one over here. Again, I believe 13 millimeters, so I'll remove it on this side, on that side, and then I'll put the strut bar on. I'll reinsert these bolts and then I'll torque it down. If you guys are gonna do this, make sure you do torque it down properly. I believe it's 30 Newton meters. Alright guys, as you can see here and in the last clips, I got the bolts off for each strut tower, so that's the left and then that's the right. So our next step is actually on the strut bar itself. So what you guys actually have to do is loosen up these two screws. They're actually with Allen keys on the left and on the right. What that basically does, if you guys can see, it gives it a little more wiggle room. So this like bracket on each side can actually move a little more. So what we're gonna do is, with that extra wiggle room, we're gonna put the strut bar on each respective side. Again, so this can, you know, it can fit a little better. It's kind of hard to show you with one hand, but if you can see, it can move around a little bit. So we're gonna use it while it has the extra wiggle room to get it all like fitted correctly. And then we're actually gonna torque down the strut bar. And then once each side is torqued down, we're gonna go ahead and tighten this. Basically, we're making it that it has some extra wiggle room to fit, and then once it's all locked in, we're gonna tighten it. So first what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hand thread each of the bolts, so the 6 bolts on both sides, and then I'm gonna torque down those 6 bolts, and then lastly I'm gonna tighten these Allen key like screws or whatever you want to call them over here. Before I actually do that, just one last look at the engine bay before the strut bar goes on. Again, this is obviously not just gonna improve handling, but it's also gonna make the engine bay look a lot cooler, at least in my opinion. So yeah, let's get to it. So strut bar is on. I did not torque anything down yet. Also did not tighten up these bolts over here. But I will say, if you guys try to put it on without loosening up these bolts, it's just not gonna fit. You need that extra wiggle room to basically make sure these brackets fit on both sides. So when you're installing this, make sure you loosen these up first before trying to put these on the strut towers, of course. Honestly, I'm so glad I went with the all black one versus the chrome. I think it just suits my car so much better. I am gonna be getting some more accent colors in the engine base, so it's not just gonna be all black, but for right now, definitely better black than chrome on the strut bar, in my opinion at least. Also, it just looks so cool with these like cutouts in it and everything. So yeah, I don't know, I'm super happy with it so far. So also, just another heads up guys, when you're trying to install this, not only do you have to like loosen up these bolts over here to make sure that like both brackets fit on both sides, you also have to make sure that the car's on a flat surface. I think mine's on a flat surface. I hope so. It looks pretty flat to me. It's kind of hard without a garage to get like a perfectly flat surface, but just make sure you do that as well, because that could affect the fitment. So yeah, now the next steps are to torque these down. I believe, again, it's a 13 millimeter. Obviously we use like the same bolts that we just took off before, and then I believe it's 30 Newton meters, the torque spec. So I'm going to torque that down. Also, another weird thing about this, I actually found this out from the Keys Motorsports video, is once you torque it down, you actually have to go like another 90 degrees, which is interesting. I don't really know the logic behind that, but hey, if Ryan says it, I'm gonna do it. Anyways guys, let's do that right now. And just like that, everything is on. The strut bar is officially completely on. So I did torque down these bolts over here, like I said, 30 Newton meters, and then I also did the additional 90-degree angle, or 90-degree turn rather. Same thing with the other side as well. Everything seems to fit pretty flush. It did torque down, so that's also a good sign as well. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Again, if you guys want any of this, so the strut bar, even the tools that I use, I will leave everything linked down in the description below. So from like a looks perspective, it looks really good. If I can give you guys like a better idea, but like yeah, this strut bar honestly looks so good. It looks so much better than the Racing Dynamics one in my opinion. Again, installation was also pretty easy. But yeah, let's jump in the car and see how it handles now. Alright guys, so I'm going to be doing a quick driving impressions. Obviously I just installed the strut brace. The installation was pretty easy, thankfully. One thing I will say is definitely loosen up those Allen key screws, guys, because if you don't, like, it's going to be impossible to get it fitted right. But once you do, you get that extra wiggle room, get everything settled, everything torqued down, then you can retighten them, then you should be good to go. Again, obviously you're dealing with the struts over here, so make sure everything's torqued down properly. If you guys need a torque wrench or any of the proper tools, I will leave everything linked down in the description below. But otherwise guys, I think it's just time to take the car for a drive. So I'm actually going to switch it from eco, which the car starts in, to sport mode, and then put the transmission in sport. We're not going to be going fast by any means. I also have like a whole bunch of tires in the trunk right now. It's a long story. I'll actually make another video explaining what happened over there. Hopefully you guys can also hear me okay, because the mic is a little far from me, further than what it usually is. So we'll see how it goes. Right away, the steering wheel feels tighter. I don't know if it's just, you know, like a placebo effect here, but the steering does definitely feel tighter. Yeah guys, like, I mean, so far it's feeling pretty good. There's one road that I know that has it's nothing crazy. It's not a track, obviously. It's not really a canyon road, but it does have a good amount of like swerves and turns and stuff like that. Some like long turns. So I want to take the car over there and see how it does. Also, I kind of want to make sure I didn't, you know, torque anything down improperly. So we'll find out, guys. By the way, this isn't normally how I drive. I usually do drive with 2 hands, I'll be honest, but right now I'm just trying to make sure like the camera's good with my right hand and I'm driving with my left hand. All right guys, so we're turning into that street that I was telling you about. Hopefully not many cars. I already see a couple going in front of me, so that's a nice little Hyundai. Is that a new Veloster? All right. Oh yeah, I definitely noticed a difference. I mean, the thing is, guys, this car, it handles well. One, it's on skinny tires. Don't forget, it's on 225s right now, and the Pirellis aren't the most grippy tire out there. I did get some new tires for this car, and I will tell you guys about like the tire sizes, because it's honestly a whole story with that in another video. But I am going to be getting some like wider tires. I have suspension coming in. That should actually come in tomorrow. I talked about it in one of my other videos. I was talking about the Bilstein. I didn't end up going Bilstein. There's a whole story behind that as well, which I will explain later, guys. But honestly, just right now, this strut brace, it feels good, man. Like, even just a totally stock car in terms of suspension, stock wheels, even screwed up tires, honestly, like, they're pretty bad. So even with that, like, the car handles so much better. Like, honestly, I'm actually surprised by what a difference this makes. All right, guys, I'm at a red light right now. I keep on saying it, but this makes such a difference. And again, guys, this mod was what, like $270? You can get a cheaper one if you really want to go even cheaper. And installation, if you guys know what you're doing and you have the right tools, it should take you like, honestly, 10 minutes. So yeah, guys, in terms of what I was saying before, is this the best mod that you can do to your car to improve your handling in terms of like price, installation? I still stand behind that, because again, if you think about it, coilovers are going to cost you at least like $1,500 for a good set. Lowering springs cost about like $250, maybe even less. But the thing with lowering springs, guys, is it's not easy to install. Like, if you're going to be installing lowering springs on your car, you have to really know what you're doing. I'm trying to make sure I don't crash while talking too, because obviously that would be really bad, but I would have it captured on camera, so that would be good. So yeah, guys, with springs, like, you're going to have to get spring compressors. You need very specific tools for it. It's a whole job. Like, honestly, I think that's like a day job in my opinion. I'm sure some of you guys are a lot more experienced mechanics than I am. I'm actually not a mechanic at all. I'm just some dude. So for me, that would take a while, but the strut brace was super easy. It was literally like 6 bolts. The only tricky thing about it is, and it's not even tricky, you guys just need a torque wrench. You just have to make sure that you torque down the bolts properly. So in terms of installation, price, and you know, just overall results that you get with the car, I think this is the best suspension mod you can do. All right, guys, we're going back to the road except the other way around. Let's test it out one more time, though. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, this car, it feels tighter. I think that's the best way to explain it. Before, the car felt very floppy. Like, it felt good. Again, what I was saying about the tires, these aren't the best tires, not the most sporty suspension setup, but the car just always felt a little sloppy. Now it feels a lot tighter and instills a lot more confidence too. Honestly, guys, I can't wait to have the suspension, the wider tires and wheels. This car's gonna feel so good afterwards. Yeah, this thing feels good, man. It feels really good. All right, I think that's pretty much it for the driving impressions. Overall, guys, like, you know, it feels a lot better. It does, you do notice it. I have had this car for a long time, so I really know what it felt like before. And putting the strut brace on, like, the car feels overall tighter. It gives a little more confidence. It's obviously not, you know, it's not track ready now, but for the money and for the amount of time that I spent installing this strut brace, like, you get a lot of results out of it. If you guys want to improve your handling, obviously don't let this be your only mod, but if you guys want just like a quick, cheap way to do it or just to improve it, this is definitely a great option. personally, I'm still gonna do coilovers. I'm still doing wider wheels and tires and all that type of stuff. I still want to do sway bars as well. So this is by no means my only suspension mod. By the way, I keep on saying suspension, and I hope no one, you know, takes that the wrong way. Like, I know it's not actually in the suspension of the car, but you know, because it affects handling, that's why I just keep on calling it like a suspension mod. It's not actually a suspension mod, so hopefully no one gets triggered by that. But yeah, anyways, I'm still doing all that other stuff. So by no means, guys, am I saying this is the only mod that you have to do. It's just a really good one to do, maybe as your first mod. Also, it's pretty easy, so if you're new to all this type of stuff, it should be pretty easy to do. Anyways, guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you drop it a like. It helps out the video. Also, leave me a comment, guys. Let me know what you guys think about the strut brace or a strut bar, again, whatever you want to call it. If you want to just tell me like what you call it, I mean, you can do that too. And then yeah, lastly, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Again, it'll take you 2 seconds. It's completely free and it'll really help me out. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.